And we are live. What up? What up? It's your man Sean P coming in live. This is the one and only Sean P Experience. Anybody that's new to the channel, new to the page, I am your host with the most, Sean P. I am a self-published author of 12 publications, a public speaker, podcast host of this show and the Modern Day Griot podcast. And today we got a very, very special guest. Got my man, the author, the award-winning author, Hezekiah Morris. How you doing, my brother?
Man, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. How are you today?
Man, I'm excited for this show. Anytime it's showtime for me, there's always a lot of emotions and a lot of energy and a lot of
Yes.
build up to it. So like it's finally the time for the game time. So I'm very
Oh yeah.
excited, very excited right now, my man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me do your official introduction, right? So I
All
got my
right.
man Hezekiah Morris, 38-year-old alpha male. His leadership skills have been apparent from childhood. He was born in Virginia. Despite his trials, he graduated magna cum laude from Skyline College in computer engineering programming with a 3.7 GPA. Don't sleep on that. And on the dean list. He is currently a material handler slash machine operator with the hopes of pursuing a career as an ordained minister. I love that. With a concentration in counseling. His dream is to enlighten and empower as many troubled youth and adults as possible by sharing his story. He wants everybody to know they can change their lives and do better through their faith in Christ. That's the most important truth that the reader should be aware of about Hezekiah Morris is that his compelling storytelling that could change the life of the young urban dwellers. And with that introduction, I got a question for you, my brother, off the top.
Yes.
This show is called Sitting with the Griots. The Griots
Yes.
are the African storytellers of old. I call them the
Hmm.
walking Google. They were the knowledge
Okay.
people, the truth tellers through storytelling. So my question for my guests is always, how do you feel being a modern day griot with your
Hmm.
stories that you're telling to the youth and trying to make them empower themselves? How do you feel about that title being a modern day griot?
I like that because with me growing up in a small town in Virginia, we always around the old school people and learning how to listen to our stories. You know what I'm saying? See, when I was growing up, we didn't have the cell phones and all the technology they had then. So we would listen to our stories, be like, man, boy, this awesome. I'm like, man, y'all really did that. Yeah, man. You know how they tell you in the story. Yeah, we had to walk 20 miles to school in the snow and all that. We like, yeah, all right, granddad. We as kids, like, man, y'all crazy. Ain't no way I'm going to school in 20 miles in the snow. So when I grew up, man, it was like I'm in between the age of I'm young and I'm old and I got an old soul, but it's like I listened to everything they said, man, and that got me into like wanted to be a storyteller. I can tell my story, but I can make it exciting to hear. How they used to do in Africa. They bang the drums, boom, 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 telling that little stories and stuff. So that's like for me, man. And I get excited. Like when I do my videos, I like to have music behind it and hip hop because it's a reflection of my soul and who I am and the eras and stuff that I come from. And it's also trying to enlighten the young generation. Like, man, writing is cool for real, for real. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to be a sports star. You ain't got to be a rapper because for real, it's switching over where authors gonna start making more than the rappers is with these streaming stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? So, and at the same time, you're learning something. You're using your brain. You're connecting to a part of your brain that's like, man, this is an art of storytelling. And it's an art. It's not just something you can just do. Like you want to have to do. You got to have the passion for it. And I like that because the people of old used to tell our story. I was like, man, one day I'm gonna tell my story. I used to always say, my friends tell me, they said, man, you used to say you was gonna tell your story one day. That's the funny part about it. And when it came to tuition, I'm like, man, they did say that. That's all they used to talk about when I was little, man, and going up through my teenage years. And we was having fun out there in the streets. I was like, man, one day I'm gonna write about all this stuff right here.
So to go along with that kind of a question, man, I love to ask my black men in particular. I love having guys on the show. How did you fall in love with books? I love asking my guys that question. How
Oh
do you fall in
man,
love with books?
man, it's crazy. My mom, when when I was younger, way young, about 3 or 4 years old, she used to read them Danielle Steele books with Fabio on the cover and stuff, right? All through all through the house. I used to be like, what's she reading? I need to learn how to read so I could be nosy and read what she read. So I pick up her books, walk through the house. She'll tell me what the words were. And I'm learning how to read. I'm 3 or 4 years old. I went to kindergarten when I was 4 years old. That's how advanced at reading I was. And I would sit there with her and lay in the bed. She got one book and I got one book. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know what I'm reading, but I'm reading. You, you know? So I'm like, man, awesome. So by the time I got to elementary school, I started wanting to seeing different books in the library. Richard Wright, Black Boy, Malcolm X, the autobiography of Malcolm X by Alex Haley, Roots. And I started reading autobiographies, man. Martin Luther King's story. I read about all our Black history this is in elementary school. And then my granddad, every morning, across the yard, he'd beep the horn in his old pickup truck. He'll go to the store. This is like 6 o'clock in the morning, get a newspaper. So every morning, I'm like, Granddad, you going to get a newspaper? I want to read the sports page. You know what I'm saying? So he get to, yeah. So I'm always reading something, if the newspaper. By the time I got to high school and government class, I was like, I don't even need to go to class. I already know about government. And that was the funny thing. My cousin said, man, this dude one of the guys in government class went to class every day. He got mad. He said, how did he pass? And I didn't. He ain't never here. That's because I knew about government before I even got there. That's the main thing, man. It was just important for us to learn to read. My mom pushed. It was like she was extra harder on me than my brother about learning how to do stuff. I remember I was in 7th grade. One of my teachers, he was from here. Went to school with Michael Jordan in North Carolina. He was like, his motto was, I am somebody, I am somebody. And out of 7 people in the whole school, he picked me to go to Longwood College. It's one of the colleges in Virginia. And I was like, man, I want to be here one day. But I took my alternate route, so I didn't get there, but I had to go my own way. You know what I'm saying? But, just had it in my mind, etched in my mind, and just learning and studying. And then I thought I had a photographic memory. I was like, man, I don't need to study. I know a little stuff by heart, but it was all, God gifted talent that I didn't know how to use. I was using it the wrong way. Believe me, I wasn't using none of it the right. I was using it all negative. You know what I mean? But, when I finally sat down, it was like, man, I'm going to write this book. He had set me down. So he set me down and I set myself down and I started writing my first book. And when I tell you that first book was like, wow, I was like, I really did this. Couldn't believe it. The publisher was like, I don't know if I can publish your book because we don't know if it's good or not, but I'll call you back. In 30 minutes, he was called back, man, let's go with this. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, and that was the jump start that I needed to change my life around. It didn't happen instantly, but that was something positive that I felt that I did was like, man, can't nobody take this away from me. I wrote a book.
So you kind of sort of went into it naturally. My next question I was going to ask you, besides reading a whole lot, your whole life to a certain point, when did you feel like, you know what, I'm going to take my time and sit down and write my own book? Where did that thought come from? And the courage to show somebody. Because to write is one thing, but to actually show somebody.
I was in college, and this teacher asked us to do she asked us to do a paper on whatever we wanted to do it on. And this paper was like a 13-page paper. You had to write it. I'm like, man. She said, and I need it by the end of the semester. I'm like, oh, man, what am I going to write? So I actually wrote on the Illuminati and Freemasons. I did a lot of research. It's something that I hate going to Black communities in the Black church. They used to be like, oh, when you get money, you the Illuminati or you this and that. I'm like, all right, let me go on and get into this. Let me go on and do some real. I'll write my paper on this. And I actually wrote my paper on it. I actually got 105 on that paper. Yeah, I got
You
105
said
on that paper.
105.
I was 105. Yes, I was like, she said that was magnificent. She said I never knew somebody to research something like that and felt so passionate about it. Because I mean, I went in from the beginning to here, and I know my dad's church. The people used to church like, oh, Jason, all them Illuminati. I'm like, y'all don't even know the half. You know what I mean? It's just because we always look it down on us when we get money, but they don't know how hard we work for it. And I've said, but y'all don't ever call the other people the Illuminati. But it's when we get the money, we got to be Illuminati. You know what I mean? So by me doing that paper, I was like, man, okay, I think I can do a little bit. And then after a while, I was sitting in a jail cell. So I started writing my life story from beginning to end. And I would walk around the cells and show everybody my book, show them what I'm writing. They was like, man, keep writing. Okay. Man, ooh, we love this, man. Make sure you get this published when you get out. I was like, yeah, you know how we do when we get out. Yep. Throw it to the side burner. But I actually went through with it. I got a little day labor job making $45 a day, so I can come up with the money to copyright my book myself, because I didn't want nobody to steal my material. So I copyrighted my book, and then I would pay the publisher $45 each time I got some money. I would pay him until I got a better paying job. And when that first book came out, I was like, man, wow. I paid a lot for it, but I was like, you know what? It's something I did. And with that first book, man, it was like, I wasn't going to write anymore. I just was like, this is the book that I want everybody to see. This is my life story. This is who I am. And I was at work. I was working a little construction job, and I said, I can't do this for the rest of my life. I ain't really digging no ditches, man. I'm too smart for this. And I just woke up with a hunch. I said, I'm going to Philly and New York next week. Everybody like, for what? I said, I'm going to take this little book I got and see what I can do with it. And that was the beginning of everything right there. Upon doing that, on the way there, I called Columbia University. I was like, I would like to have a book signing with you all. They was like, what's your book about? I said, it's my life story. They said, okay. Now knowing I'm a felon and everything, they said, come on. That was my first big book signing, Columbia University, one of the most prestige colleges in the world. Here I am. I'm
That's
like,
a big first time. That's a big first time.
right. And doing that, man. And then I called Howard University. I was like, man, I want to do it. I said, I might as well do some more at the college. I called Howard. They was like, shoot, can we resell it? Yep. I called Georgetown. I was like, man, I want to do a book sign. They was like, all right, we got you. So I was supposed to do one each day, but when I got there, I was sick. I said, I got to do both of y'all in the same day. I did Georgetown and Howard book signing in the same day.
Man, that's crazy. That's a crazy story.
And I got my first TV interview at Howard University. I was live on the air.
Howard University.
And the person that interviewed me live on the air was the one that did my first movie.
Hey, you sound like the Biggest Smalls verse. I'm a kind of paraphrase for the TV for the show, but he said, damn, the state Penn got holes in Penn State. You know what I'm saying? Penn State.
Oh, well, Penn State, I called them to do a book signing. They said, we don't want you to do a book signing. We want you to speak at the spring graduation. How much do you charge? I said, whoa. Now all I got is this one little book now. They said your story is so powerful, we don't even want you to do a book signing. You can bring them if you want, but we need you to speak at the spring graduation. I'm like, wow. That was crazy. Yeah.
Look how God worked, right? Look how God worked. So you said about all the reading you did early, and now you're writing yourself. My next question is, who are some of the people that influenced you to want to write in the beginning? Who are some of the people you looked up to and how they did their thing, and who you want to kind of pattern after?
Oh, man. It was like my two first stories, I was really patterned after myself. But when I got into this is a funny story. When I got into erotica romance, all my friends was like, yeah, we like your little life stories and all, but you need to tell about the other side. I'm like, oh, Lord. So I sat back and I read a book by Jerome Dickey. That's my guy right there, man.
Bruh, I can't believe you just said that. That's my all-time favorite. When it comes to fiction, my all-time hand-down favorite.
Like I read this book. It's called The Blackbirds. When I tell you I fell in love with that book, I said, I'm ready. I'm ready, man. When I wrote my first erotica romance, I brought the heat because I had read his, and he kind of gave me how when you study an author, you study their patterns, how they make a story, how do they come with the story. So when I wrote my first erotica romance, I just patterned how he had his story, but then I didn't just pattern how he had his story. I patterned John Grisham too on how he writes his story. So what I'm doing, I'm using what he doing and what John Grisham doing, and I came up with a story, and it was like, boom. Like, yeah, it's time now. You know what I'm saying?
Because guess what? My mama loved John Grisham.
Yeah.
James Patterson and John, she loved both of them guys. She loved them.
Yeah. And so when I was reading John Grisham's book, I like how he would start a scene, he'll paint a picture, then he'll float on over here and go to a different scene. So when you're reading my books, I'm here, you like, oh man, I gotta catch up, I gotta catch it. And if you miss it in the first beginning, you're gonna miss it at the end. So that was the fun of studying all the authors, man, because you don't want to be stagnated. You don't want to just keep writing. You're not learning, because at the same time you need to learn. Your fans need to see your growth, your different thoughts and different ideas in the way that you are writing. Not just keep, okay, I'm gonna write these books, but I'm gonna keep the same pattern. I want to show you something different. I want to, like when a rapper, he gets to rapping his first song, he's coming hard off the streets, and then he switch over. Fans are like, nah, I don't really like that. But what they don't know, he's growing as an artist. He's expanding his mind as an artist. It's not necessarily he's not doing it for y'all, but he has other ideas that he want to explore, different ways that he want to explore how to do things. And that's what I'm all about, man. And my stories come from, there's some wild stories. They're just wild.
So reading the introduction, you was the magna cum laude, 3.7, Dean. Listen, clearly you said it earlier. You was a young kid, kind of advancing and everything. So my question is, how did that, writing your first book, how did that help you having the educational side you already had in your bag? Did that help you at all transition to this kind of writing? Because it is different writing papers in school versus this is different. But like, see what I'm saying?
But see, like growing up where I'm from, our school, it's in a small country, but man, the educational system is on point. The Appomattox educational system was on point. They had us writing papers. We had to write reports and what do you call it when you used to have to read a book and you got to summarize the book. We used to have to do that
like a book report kind of thing.
That's it. Yeah. Oh man, we had to do that all the time. And then we had a little thing where you had it's called DARE, where you got to read a certain amount of books and you get a free pizza, a free personal pan.
Bro,
so as many books.
Hey man, hey, I spoke on that at my job last week. I spoke on that last week at Pizza Hut, the little personal pan.
Yeah.
We'll read about 100 books for that little small pizza.
So that's what it started for, man. I gotta get it, man. Mama, take me to Pizza Hut, yo. I got all the stars on my little thing. It's time. I need
that little button with the little yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, where's this? What are times doing for the kids now? They need this. You know what I'm saying, man? I was reading books, man. I read every kind. Nancy Drew, Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry. Oh, man. I done read so many books by anybody just to get that star, man. So that's where it all really comes from. And me wanted to paint a picture of my stories because I seen the way they painted their pictures. Like I loved The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. I never knew what it meant, but as I grew up, I actually researched it, man. That was a great story. He was writing about his best friend.
Have you read the new book that came out last year by Percival Everett? It's called James, but it's about the boy, the black boy in the story. It's from his point of view. It's called James.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. It's fire, bro. You got to read it.
Because him and Tom Sawyer was like best friends, you know?
He got a Pulitzer Prize for that book last year, bro. I did the
Oh
audio version
wow.
of it, but the book is fire. It's amazing. I highly
Yeah.
recommend it. If you enjoy Tom Sawyer, you got to read that
Yeah.
point of view from him.
Oh
It's
man.
incredible, bro. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to read that. Yes. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So my next question, this is a brand new question for the show, right? I've been asking
Mm-hmm.
my friends in private. You the first guest hearing this question. At what point did you know you was a writer? I asked all my author friends that, because everybody got a different answer. When did you know
Mm-hmm.
in your heart, you know what? I'm a writer. When was that?
When I wrote, wow, it had to be my first book. When I go back to my first book, that's my baby, because the wordplay and the way the editor edited that book, it was amazing. The way I dealt with the characters and the people's names and writing my life story and just pouring my heart out and my soul, and I was like, I think I'm on to something. But the niche wasn't until I wrote The Player in Me. When I wrote The Player in Me, it was like, I'm
So
here
what
now.
about that? What about that specifically? If you can remember.
Oh man, because The Player in Me, man, it's like I'm taking you through these scenes that I'm meeting these two different women, and I'm having conversations with them, and I'm putting it on paper like we having whole conversations, and I'm warning these women, and I'm describing everything that's going on around us and what's going to happen and what's happening, and then I make it into a story, and I switch off, and it's like you got drama, you got love, you got addictions, you got all these different characters, and they all coming together, and then at the end, it's like, are you serious? You gonna just cut me off like this? You just gonna end the story like this? Yeah, I got you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really gonna
And
do that?
I asked because, like, for some of us,
Mm-hmm.
when you first start writing, before it's even out, a person might feel like, man, you know what? I'm a writer. Or for some people, when that book finally come in the mail, you touch it, you finally feel that thing in your hand. It's like, bruh, it's
Mm-hmm.
real. I'm a writer. Or that first sale, or the first book signing. It's so many different little landmarks where it's like, you know what? Now I'm a writer. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna tell you what was mine at Georgia Tech in Atlanta. You know how hard it to do a book signing at Georgia Tech? I'm like, this one. And when
I
the little
can't imagine.
kid, and when the little
Can't
when the
imagine.
little kid when the little kid came up and said, "Man, I want to read your book," and I signed the book, and then two people from Detroit come to want to take a picture with me. I say, "Uh-oh, I'm here now. I'm here now." You know, like, oh man, I'm here. And for me, it's like, and the thing, you know, what's so funny is like the awareness that you are a writer, the awareness that you are an author. Like, a lot of people follow you, because it'd be sometimes, man, I want to post some stuff on Facebook, and I'll be like, man, I can't do it. It'd be funny to me. It's like, man, I'm about to, ooh, and I take it off. I put it on. I like, man, I can't do it. I'm off. And I tell my friend, I send it to them. I say, y'all post this.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
because
You can't.
for me,
You can't.
it's like, you're not right, because it's all a bit. It's a business now.
It's a business. It's a business, bro. On
You know,
my page,
and
for an example,
even though people love you being authentic,
yeah.
you can't be too authentic,
I mean,
because you got corporations. You might have sponsors, people that want to
yes,
sponsor you
yes,
or do
yes.
some other things, and
That's right.
they see you
Right.
acting reckless or talking reckless. It'll pull away. It's unattractive,
Yes,
as
yes.
you know,
I
somebody will
know
say.
on my
So,
page, for an example, I have now I got politicians and
mm-hmm.
city officials follow me and talk to me, and school
Uh-huh.
principals and teachers and guidance counselors, and some teachers, they play my actual video in their classroom. They play my videos in the class. So
Uh-huh.
if
Yeah.
I'm cursing every other word and talking crazy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's not a good look.
So, like, if
You know
you
what
go on
I'm
my,
saying?
I don't have no cussing or nothing. It might spell it out, but it's not going to be no cussing, no foul language, because I want to be respected. as well as the next person to be respected. You know what I'm saying? So it's me that's supposed to be a businessman. I'm supposed to be an author. I'm supposed to be setting an example. So if I'm acting reckless on my page, how am I telling a young kid you should be an author and you can act reckless? You know what I'm saying? If I'm trying to bring somebody up and lift them up, how I'm going to be acting reckless on my page and like, okay, who is this person? You know what I'm saying?
So you a fellow Navy man like myself, my fellow
Oh man,
shipmate. You know
yeah.
what I'm talking about? Fellow veteran.
Yes,
So you,
sir.
you move around a lot. You've been a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why for this book, the Louisiana Purchase. Why for this book? Why was the backdrop New Orleans? What is it about this city that tends to draw people? It's so mythical almost. Why New Orleans for this book?
Well, the person the book is about is from New Orleans. And I've been to Louisiana. I actually stayed in Louisiana for 2 months. And I've been around, seen the little area and stuff. So, back in the day when we used to have to do history and you had a thing called the Louisiana Purchase. So I was just fooling around. You know me, I love history. That's my favorite thing. So I love going to Louisiana. I love going to Grambling State. And the person I met from Louisiana, I said, yeah, the Louisiana Purchase. You know what I'm saying? That's the Louisiana Purchase. And it don't really got no thing to it, but the Louisiana Purchase. It's like a history joint.
So tell me, I love a good beginning, origin story. So tell me the moment you had a spark to write the Louisiana Purchase story.
Oh,
Where that
man,
spark come from? The creativity.
like I'll just be fooling around one. Just like fooling around, and I'll be like, the Louisiana Purchase. I like that title. Then I might make a little video to it. And it still won't hit yet because I'm not ready to write it yet. I throw it out there for maybe a couple of months, a couple of years. Then I'm like, all right, I'm ready to do this. It's like for me, you got to have some episodes and stuff in your life that happen, and then I'm like, all right, I got the material for it now. Let's go with it. And then I just hit it hard. Like usually for me, it takes me about 2 weeks to write a book once I brainstorm and really click to it because I'm in it. Like I wrote one book on my cell phone. It took me 2 weeks to write it on my cell phone. The player and me, I wrote it on my cell phone. I ain't had no computer access and nothing. I just wrote the whole book on my cell phone. And it took me about 2 weeks, and then I'm
And
on it. Then
they
after
say
that,
where there's a will, there's a way.
mm-hmm.
If you want it bad
When I
enough,
tell you,
you can make it happen.
and when I tell you, man, I'll be exhausted after I'm writing. I don't even want to read it no more. I was like, man, the editor said it. I was like, I don't feel like reading this book no more. And I just take a break because it takes for me, it takes a lot out of me because it's like I'm bearing my soul on these pages and I'm giving you a story that's almost authentic. And you're like, man, wow, how did he know that? How did he know that? And I have friends call me, you better not put me in that book. And I be laughing. They be laughing. They be like, you crazy. Yeah, it's just fun, man. I like to do it because I like my fans, man. They'll let me know. They be like, boy, you is crazy. Is that you? I know it was you. That's the funny part. Oh, you ain't got to tell me. We know it's you. I'll be like, Lord, okay.
So in this story, Louisiana Purchase, the main leading lady, Miss Jordan, she sounds very complex. She got a lot of dynamics going on. She's powerful. All these attributes, always very attractive, and she's
Yes.
dangerous. Tell
Yeah.
me how you made that character profile for Jordan. Like where did that come from? That profile of this woman.
Because I know the real Jordan.
Okay now.
Yeah. That's all I gotta say on them. I can't say no more.
Hey, as they say less.
Yeah.
Well, let's pivot to the leading the male character, the main star of the show. His name is Xavier.
Xavier, yep. With
Xavier,
a
yeah.
Z. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I had to check to make sure it was a Z, right? So he's a budding writer. He's experiencing this major writer's block. He got deadlines coming up. all this stuff is happening. Tell me about that character profile, about that. Tell me about the Jordan character.
It's what we go through as authors. And then we meet this person and we like, man, we want, it was like, you know, as authors, we try to live a chill life now. You know what I'm saying? We trying to figure out how we're going to make ends meet, how we're going to sell a book, where our next story coming from, and we got to work a full-time job at the same time. And it look like we ain't going nowhere. Am I right? So it's like me, I'll be like, man, I want some excitement. So here comes Jordan. Boom. Now you got too much excitement. Like, man,
Yeah,
can
so
I handle it?
yeah,
You
but
see what I'm saying?
did she bring it? Did she bring it?
Yeah. So he like, man, how in the world I get wrapped up in this? You know what I'm saying? But he loves the thrill too, because he know he's gonna have a story to tell after this one. You know what I'm saying? And then diving deeper into it, he's like, I kind of like this life a little bit. I'm used to being bored, lonely, going home, not doing nothing. But here I am. I'm excited. And you know what? And that's how relationships is sometimes. We meet somebody, man, and we get into this relationship, and it's like, man, I don't care what that person do, man. I love her. You know what I'm saying? I love the excitement, the adrenaline rush. You get codependent. And, you know, and that's what I'm trying to tell the audience about this story. You know, like, that's how relationships are sometimes. They're a roller coaster. And roller coaster of emotions are like, sometimes we don't know who we are. And we have to check ourselves in the mirror. You know, is it love worth fighting for or dying for? You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm trying to touch on this at the same time and get them a hot and heated story. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
that's where all the passion lies at. You know, they like,
Right.
man, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna speak about that. The attraction of danger and power at different levels of excitement. And you know better in your mind. You know the
Oh, yeah.
dangerous outcomes and what can happen and all that. But it's still the allure of it. And I want you to speak about that. You said two people come together sometimes and you can know better, but you just can't help it.
And you know it's not going to work, but you just it's like your mind is telling you got to have it's like you got the conqueror and you got one over here want to be the conqueror too, but they want to be, and when y'all combust together, you like, man, it's nothing but fireworks. And it's like you can't be apart, you can't be away from that person, and it's like, what we gonna do? You ever got to that point of relationship like, man, I know we can't be together, but I just can't let you go right now. You know
They
what
say
I'm
it's
saying?
the moth to a flame, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know it, you like, well, man, I just love having fun. Everything that we do is fun and exciting, but how long is it gonna go on? You know what I'm saying? Well, somebody got to make the sacrifice. And it's like nobody is willing to sacrifice thy morals or thy love for one another. And it's built like a big flame combustion. Boom, boom. Till it finally explodes. And then you either left with the person or you left without the person with a broken heart. And now you want to start the cycle all over. You know what I'm
So
saying?
I got a question for you. I won't spoil the story, but for you, right? So I know that Jordan brought excitement to his life. What would you
Yes.
say that he brought to her life as far as the other side of the coin?
Consistency.
Consistency. Okay.
A different kind of love that she used to, you know. He like he's actually submitting to her. In today's world, a woman likes when a man submits to them now. You ever notice that? He doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low. He's even keeled, he's chill. You know what I'm saying? He's not obnoxious, like, oh, wild and out. No. He's just chill. And that's what women are looking for. They're looking for somebody that can be that rock, whose emotions are not that high and whose emotions are not that low. And he's just right there. Because, you know, in today's relationships, you need that solid foundation. And that's what he brought. Even though he didn't have it all, he was that person she could talk to. He was that person she could come to, tell her deepest, darkest secrets to. He was that person that was even keeled. He always showed the same emotion. Did you notice that? His emotions was never too high or never too low. And everything that he thought, it was always calculated.
Because the other parts of her life was always uh, you can't really trust people. Trying to figure out the
Mm-hmm.
loyalty or whatever is always dangerous. And
Uh-huh.
things can happen at any given moment. These
Yeah.
real things could happen. So he was the most, like you said, even kill consistent person in her circle. It seemed
Mm-hmm.
like.
And even when they was going through their problems, he still stayed that same level headed. You know what I'm saying? It hurt, but he still was even killed. He's like, it's life. I can go back to the boring, you know what I'm saying? Thank you for
Yeah.
the fun. You know what I mean?
So I always ask my fictional writing friends.
Mhm.
It seemed like writing a fight scene or writing a love making scene some of the hardest things ever to me. Because it's not like a movie where you can show things. You're trying to do it on paper and paint a picture. So my
That-
question for
that-
you is, writing some of these romance scenes in the book, I would
that's
say
the
the difficulty or whatever in doing that is the question.
man. That's the hardest thing to do, man, because from book to book, you want to try to change and switch up the love scenes and how they contact each other, how they meet each other. And you can find yourself caught up in making the same love scenes over and over. I'm like, nope, I'm not going to do that. For me, I will actually research on how to do different love scenes. How can I make this more fire, but not too fire? How can I change the different positions? That's a whole lot of stuff. And for me, I love research. I love learning because for you to be a writer, you have to study different aspects on how to write a book, not just I'm going to write this way forever. Who want to keep reading the same? I know because it's going to start sounding the same. Like, oh, this author don't change at all. And for me, my most memorable book was The Invisible Woman. I made the person. It was my first paranormal romance. I made the leading woman in this book a ghost. Nobody else could see her but me. And we had a whole relationship going on. We were physical and everything, but nobody else could see her but me. So that's something different. Who would ever think about that? But if you think about it, like, man, like you out somewhere, you picture your person that you used to be with, like, man, I remember when me and her used to go here or right there, and you picture that person right with you. That's how I wrote the book.
Gotcha. So for the Louisiana Purchase, tell the audience when they could expect to get it. How could they contact you to get it? What websites and things? Like give them the spiel on Louisiana
um,
Purchase.
it's going to be available about a week and a half. It's still getting worked on the formatting part. I did the book cover myself this time. Yeah, I did the book cover myself. So all they got to do is get formatted. It's going to be on Amazon. I'm going to put this one in Barnes and Nobles too. So I can do a lot of book signings with that one right there. But what people don't know, I'm gonna give y'all a little gem. When you publish your book, don't just publish them on Amazon. Publish them on Barnes and Nobles, because that's how you're gonna be able to get your major book signings at major places. And make sure that your books are returnable. Because if they're not able to return them to Barnes and Nobles, they will not get your books for a book signing. And go to your local shops. They do book signings too. They will actually order your books. They'll charge you a little percentage, but it's worth it. You know what I mean? You don't even they won't even order your books. You can order your own books and bring them, and they can just sell them at the store, and y'all just have a percentage. They get a percentage, and you get a percentage.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
true.
that's what I do, man. I just
That's true.
I just I just have a passion for it. I just love it, man. This is something I like to do on my off time. And look, I'm on a podcast now. Who would ever thought? I get to be on a podcast, tell about
Come
my
on now.
books,
Come on now.
stories.
Come on
Man,
now.
you can't beat this life for nothing. You know what I'm saying? You get to meet
Yeah,
new friends and
that's right.
just being
That's
able
right.
to, man,
That's right.
networking, man,
Well,
going all over the
you,
world, man. I've been Philly, New York, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Mobile,
you know,
down deep down in the South,
I
man.
wanna I wanna I wanna ask you a question as a black male writer. You mentioned being in
Mm-hmm.
a romance erotica space. It's a
Mm-hmm.
heavily female dominated space. Not that many guys over there.
Yeah.
What would you say to inspire and motivate more guys to have the courage to write and to talk about romance, talk about love, relations, and all that? What would you say to the future guys watching this?
Man, you got to be a player to right now. Just play. Let
Why
me
you
stop
playing
playing.
it?
No, man, this just fun, man. That's whatever you feeling at the time, whatever's going through your mind, just be able to write. I just like erotica romance because that's something I don't know. I'm a very lovable person, and for me, I just love to love, and I love people, and just writing different stuff. And you got to forget, I read these books since 4 years old, and I used to be like, man, that's corny. That's like when I got a little older, I was reading them. I was like, nah, that's corny. I bet you I can make this a little higher. You know what I'm saying? So it just putting your feelings and stuff out on the paper, man. So for any young artist, for them growing and wanting to do it, just do it. You ain't even got to think about, oh, it don't sound right. None of man, when you write it on that paper, it'll all come together. And it's that story you tell. It's coming from your heart. It's feelings and emotions that we never got in touch with sometimes. And now I get in touch with my feelings. I get to touch with my emotions and stuff like that, man. And just learning how to be a better man. And actually, it teaches me how to act in relationships because I'm sitting here writing in the books about relationships. So it's teaching me on how to be in relationships, how to love somebody the right way and not the wrong way. And just doing the right things, man.
And why you giving game and gems on the business of this thing, man? I went to your website and I saw all your upcoming book signings, man. You said all these universities and places. It's very admirable what you've been doing. I want to speak about that with the show because us being self-published authors, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see enough self-published people doing the work of going on the road, taking these trips, doing these book signings, doing these meet and greets, doing the
Mm-hmm.
vending. Speak about the importance of that as a self-published person. You got to put yourself out there. You got to put yourself on the forefront. It won't come to
Man,
you. You got to go and get
I
it.
mean, social media is good, but I done met so many people. They don't want to buy your book off of Amazon. Man, they want to feel that thing. They want to feel. They want that hand to glide across them pages. They want to sit at home sometime with the candlelight and a little wine in their hand and read your book and be like, man, that's a good book. And just getting out there, networking, man, meet new people, and you never know. You be sitting at home, they be like, hey, as we're having a book signing, such and such, come on through. I be like, give me a date. Where that? We might do this in a different spot in Florida next time. Hey, I'm gonna be there. We got a book signing in South Carolina coming up. She said, I want to do an event. I'm just coming there for 3 weeks. I said, shoot, I'm in Atlanta. I'll shoot on up there. For me, it's fun, man. I feel like I'm free to go as I want to. And I've been wanting to do something like this for so long, man. Just get up and just travel the world and do different, but I'm doing it with a purpose now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna bring these books with me. These are me. This is something I did. This is something I completed. Like when you go to a book signing, I don't care if you sell no books and you look up and you see the library and you see where you at, you like, man, I'm here now. I'm here. They don't even know who you is when you step on that. They don't know who you are. And then when you introduce yourself for who you are, it's like they lay out the red carpet for you. Do you need this? Do you need that? You like, man, ain't this something? Like, you gotta have something to feel proud of yourself for. Like that's sitting behind that computer, like social media. Man, you get out. I remember I bought like 10 books. And I was going to work and I bring them with me. Lady said, what you got? I said, this book, how much that book? $10. So a couple days later, I get on the bus again going home. She said, I gave that book to my son to read. She said, I love that book. Then I have another lady, she'll come in, she'll be like, I'm gonna get that book next time. How many you got? I need 2 of them. I'm like, wow, let me tell you a funny story. I was working at a chicken factory. So the lady come in every day to see the supervisor. She'll tell me, how you doing today? How you doing? I was like, nothing, doing nothing. What you gonna do? I said, well, I can write books and stuff. She said, what kind of books you be writing? I said, nothing, I just be writing. She said, well, bring one. I said, okay. So I brought the book to her. She said, this thing nasty. I'm a church girl. I said, it's a little something. You can't handle it. So about 3 days passed. She called me. She said, "Hey, come here." I said, "What?" She said, "What you put in that book?" I said, "What?" She said, "My sister loved that book. She want all your books." And man, see, that feeling right there is like, okay, yeah, boy,
And
that's what I
you
like.
right, bro. You right, because even at my job, most times I don't really talk about being an author that much at work. Like two
Nope.
separate, it's like Clark Kent, Superman, you know. But eventually, people find out and they start
Mm-hmm.
asking about it. And you know, I write self-help books for an example. So guys
Yeah.
start coming to me and they start quote my stuff back to me, or they might give it to their son, and they say, "Man, my son
Mm-hmm.
reading this for this reason or whatever." You're right. It does feel good having that direct feedback from a person
Mm-hmm.
and hearing from somebody out their mouth, you know, how they felt about it, how it impacted them or whatever. Like it's motivating for us to keep on doing what we do, you know.
Oh man, I remember, man. I was about to quit writing after I wrote my last book. Remember them days when we was young? I was like, man, I'm whoa out. I'm burnt out. I ain't selling no books. I ain't doing nothing. Then I got nominated for author of the year by the S&M Gospel. Then I won. I was like, what? I won. I said, and then this other girl, she asked me to mentor her. I'm like, I don't even want to write no more. But by her asking me to mentor her, got me back into writing. And then here I am, 7 books in, and I'm still going out. Man, I've been nominated every year. I've won awards every year. And it's like, man, people don't understand how fun it is of getting into different magazines and just being a
So
positive.
you said you 7 books in.
Yeah,
My next question is, when that book come in the mail, does it still feel like the first time? Does it
yeah,
still
it
feel
does.
that same feeling? That's the question.
Oh man, it's better than the first time. Cause it's like, oh, I got a new baby. Look at this. Man, and you get to feel it, you get to touch it, you turning your pages, looking what are the mistakes at. It's like, and then you turn around, you see yourself on the cover, on the back of it, you're like, man, you feel like you the man, you know. And it takes you all the way back to that first book, like, this is it. I love it. I love it. Mm-hmm.
But you
And
know,
it
my,
takes
my
me up.
friends that have multiple books, I love to ask that question. When that book
Mm-hmm.
come in the mail, you open that little thing, you pull it out. Does it still feel like the first man? Man, the first time my book came in the mail, had that box of 100 and my name
Yeah.
on the cover. I went my bedroom floor and laid them all out, all 100 laid on the floor. I just looked at it. I started crying.
Uh-huh.
And my wife said, why you crying? It was I had so much adversity writing that first book. It was so many things to
Yeah.
overcome. It was just so many
Mm-hmm.
emotions when I finally did it, bro. Like, you know, it's
That's
hard to put it in words, man.
hmm that's how it was for my first book. It was like it took a lot out of me. People was like, "Oh, he just writing this to get money or to do this." Ain't none of that happened, and just trying to be positive about it. Like, man, everybody throwing stones at you. Now I'm like 7 books in, multiple awards, magazine covers. That little old book. This was the start of it. You know, I write for magazines. I
Man,
do different other things. Yeah.
it's funny you said that little old book, right? Because I have a master's degree, for example, right? I tell people all
Mm-hmm.
the time, my first book has put me in more rooms and more spaces than any degree I ever had. That
Mm-hmm.
one book, that first book I had, it put me in so many positions that my college degrees have never put me in.
But do you know when I go to book signings, I never sell none of my erotica romances. It's always my first book. And to remember them days when we are young because they're educational. Because I'm telling you about a story that I went through domestic violence, through all the hurt and pain, growing up as a teenager, going through what I went through, how I ended up this way. And man, when I tell you that book take me, like you said, took me places. I shouldn't even have to went to college. All I had to do was write that book, and that was my education right there.
Come on, man. Come on, bro.
You know, and it's amazing. And this lady asked me the other day. She was like, "I want to use your picture on my book cover." So my first book cover, my first book, we're bringing that picture back and putting it on her book. So my picture, everything that I'm on that cover is gonna be on her
See,
cover.
that's amazing, bro. That's crazy
Mm-hmm.
right there. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get out of here, I want you to leave some words for the young brothers once again to inspire them as far as reading, as far as
Yeah.
getting them to get more reading, get more
Mm-hmm.
books into these guys' hands, man. What would you say to get these guys into the world of books and literature and things of that nature?
And for me, we don't have to wait till we go to jail or to get locked up to read a book. Because that's the only time that we mostly going to read books. This is what we do. We take a certain amount of time each weekend or each day and read a little something. I don't care if it's Sports Center on an app or a phone. And express yourself. Do not be afraid to express yourself because you are your own person. Every day you wake up, you got to tell yourself, I am somebody and that I am my own person. And my feelings and emotions, I can write them down. I can tell how I feel. And you can use them feelings, man, and put them in a book, man. Let the world know who you are, that you are no different than anybody else, that you are your own person, and that your growth and that what you are learning, you want to share with the world because we all here to learn. We're all here to hear other story and to grow and to be our true, authentic self. If God had made everybody the same, this would be a boring world. So what I ask y'all to do today, I actually hit me up, hasmore8522 @gmail.com. If you want to write a book, or if you want to learn how to read or do different things, there's different book clubs in your area. Go to the library and see what they got going on. They got open mics sometimes and open poetry things around the cities that you can go to. I know I go to JB's Record Lounge sometimes in Atlanta. The dude from Tyler Perry, he's there. We do open mic and we read excerpts out of our books, and it's dope. And writers are dope. So you just think about what you want to do and how you want to do it. And you can hit me up on Facebook. It's Too Legit to Quit. Instagram, Author Hezzy. My books on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, 3,000 other bookstores. And hey, man, hit me up.
Once again, us being Navy guys, man. I tell the story all the time. Unlike yourself, when I was a kid, I wasn't really into books or education, nothing like that. I was a ball player and stuff like that, But in the military, I was 18 years old, and the OG on the ship saw me bored one day, just sitting there. I'm bored. We out the sea for weeks at a time. I said, "Man, check this book out." And he gave me a book, a fictional book, The Maintenance Man. I'll never forget it. That was the first book I ever read in my life. Outside of school, not for an
Yeah.
assignment, but just for no reason. And I
Uh-huh.
read it cover to cover. And when I turned that last page, I felt so proud of myself, like climbing
Mm-hmm.
a mountain. I felt
Yeah.
so glad that I read a book by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking about it. And then the guy kept on feeding me books, man. That's how the Eric Jerome Dickey came around. He was giving me Eric Jerome
Oh,
Dickey and
oh
Omar
man.
Tyree and
Yeah.
Sister Soldier, and he'll
Yep.
feed me, you know. Until we came
And
back
for
to the
me,
land, and I was able to go get my own books on my own after that.
mhm. And see, I used to read so much. My daughter's mother's sister. She was like, "Why are you reading all the time? What you reading?" I'm reading True to the Game too. Man, I love boy. She said, "What you reading?" So I said, "Here, read it. Let me know what you think about it." She came back to me. She like, "Zeke, I love that book. I gotta get the other one. Let me get the other book. Where that?" So I'm trading. We reading it. I'm trading books with her. Now she reading. You see what I'm
You see what I'm
saying?
saying, bro? But before we leave about this thing, man, I was
Yeah.
asking you how to get the young brothers to start reading, bro. Like, people have a concept of reading being like something you just sit there and it's boring and you just
Ah.
if you like Boys in the Hood and New Jack
Mm.
City and Mental Society and The Wire and all that, they got books that's like that.
Oh,
If you like all
man.
kind of drama and all kind of whatever, they got books that's like that. Whatever your genre is in movies and
Mm-hmm.
TV, you can find a
Yep.
book that's just
Like that
fast
TV
paced,
show.
shoot 'em up, bang bang, whatever. They got that out there.
Mm-hmm. Like that TV show, the Family Business. Man, I read them books. I read them all 10 books in 2 weeks. When they came out with the TV show, I ain't even want to watch it. I said I ain't like the book. Nowhere near the book. Man, that Family Business is off the chain. Boy, I'm trying to. Y'all need to read that book instead of watch the TV. Go watch the TV show.
Is that Carl Weber?
Yep. Yes, it is.
Carl Weber. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I love that book, man.
I haven't read those. I read some of his other work, but in the past, I haven't read that series right there.
Man, it's like 10 different books, and I was so addicted to reading them books, man. When I missed the series and one was missing, I said I ain't gonna read it till I get this one. I had to go in a row because you'll miss something. That's how good it is. It's dope, man. It's dope. It's real dope.
And you just inspired and motivated me just not to go and see what's up with it. I'm gonna go down. I got my little Kindle right now. I'm gonna go and download them right now.
Man, I'm trying to tell you, man. Them daughters ain't no joke, boy. Them daughters in that book ain't no joke. Daddy raised them well, boy. I'm telling you.
Okay. Well, I want to always respect time and everything, man. Thank you very much for saying yes and coming on my broadcast, man. Representing for the fellas in the literary space, man. I look forward to your future writings. And whenever your book finally come out, the Louisiana Purchase, when it finally drop and land, shoot me a little picture or something. I'm gonna post it on my page. I'm gonna tag you and all of that, man. Get your promo and everything, and good luck on all your future book signings and everything. Good luck. Congratulations, and I'm very, very proud of you, my brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on the show too, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Peace and blessings, my brother. Peace and blessings.
I'm gonna be sending some people your way too.
Man, do that, bro. Put me on. Put me on.
I got you.
Okay. You got it, King.
All right. Later.
Peace.